I remember my first visit to the Hall of Nations complex at Pragati Maidan must have been 6. Ma bought me a lot of encyclopedias from the book fair that day, and that's how this became an annual family routine. The complex, for many like me, was an excuse to visit the fairs and exhibitions. For some, it was a meeting point to spend time with their loved ones. And for many students and practitioners like me, a tangible heritage to learn from. 3 years back, despite a huge outreach, a pending legal hearing, this complex was razed to rubble overnight. From here begins my quest for preservation. I am Ridhima Sharma, and I present today a contemplative interlude of my research on Tha. Tha, meaning preservation of sites towards preserving the self. The self is a pluralistic connotation which transcends from me to a community, in this case, an imaginary collective identity representing India as a nation. My journey started with the why. Why do we mean to preserve something? Why do we wish to preserve something? If you look carefully, every preservation saga originates from a subjective and emotional why, which is connected to the notion of identity and memories. So built sites embody memories and represent our identity. How? Our minds manifest an intangible meaning onto the sites, which form memories. But from these individual memories, a subjective representation is actively constructed using our shared identity, denoted as collective memory. The shared identity and collective memory unites the community and motivates the desire to preserve the sites, to preserve their own self. But sometimes this becomes a cause of conflict, leading to the erasure of history to recreate memories and identity. The literal rationale given for this demolition was the age-based criterion of 60 years. So what? This inferred that the modernist legacy of Delhi, built during the post-colonial era, is endangered, as about 60 modern heritage sites built across India's capital lack landmark protection till date. Obliviating history or history. The underlying reason behind this demolition and several other upcoming redevelopment projects in Delhi is the clash of political ideologies targeting the post-independence heritage known as the Nehruvian legacy. To understand this, we need to look into the history to analyze the degree to which Nehru influenced the post-independence architecture of India. What is this India apart from her physical and geographical aspects? How does she fit into the modern world? While India was being stereotyped as the third world through such exhibitions, Jawaharlal Nehru, sitting in his dark prison cell, asked himself these questions as he imagined an India of a unique new identity. Subjected to constant invasions, ending towards 200 years of British colonization, the Indian society had become destabilized and faced the agonizing question of national self-definition. As the first Prime Minister of a free India, Nehru imbibed modernity as the philosophy to unite this multicultural diversity towards an attempt to unfetter India from a colonial past. British political academician Bhikkhu Parekh theorized that if Indians were to take charge of their collective destiny, they needed to develop a common sense of belonging and become a reasonably cohesive political community. The shared identity projected patriotism, binding the design fraternity of India towards their collective destiny of nation building, which was significant for India to become independent truly in character. Encouraging experimentation and consciousness, Nehru's intervention influenced the design narrative of post-independence architecture of India. Here's a powerful anecdotal evidence. We cannot obviously, even if we have the capacity, build Taj Mahals now. It does not fit in with the society today. You make something lovely to look at, but just can't do it if it won't fit in. It must have to do with function. Wrapped in the garb of this Indian modernity, a patriotic wave of nation building motivated the design professionals to return to India after learning and working under modernists. After Nehru's demise in 1964, India was in a communal chaos again. Nehru's daughter, Indira, who came into power, desired to remind Indians of what India would have been without him. And this is where the American designers Eames contributed towards building a landmark exhibition, as Indira asked them, to tell the story of India, of Nehru primarily, but also of Gandhi and of the whole struggle for independence. The exhibition displayed later became the exhibition was displayed across several countries and later became the prime factor contributing to the conception of Nehru Pavilion. In 1970, architect Raj Rival and engineer Mahendra Raj were tasked with the responsibility to create a unique design for an unobstructed exhibition space celebrating the 25th anniversary of independent India. It was an opportunity to design India's first permanent exhibition halls, but also a chance to represent itself as a progressive industrial nation, maintaining its integrity to host the first international trade fair, Asia 72. Despite limited resources, time, and budget, a unique design was achieved. To Rival's pride, the Hall of Nations constituted the largest span as a concrete space frame structure in the world. These built sites were a testimony to the Make in India spirit created by the hands of a 1,000-strong workforce to overcome the lack of technology. 3 months before inauguration, Indira asked the design team to enshrine the values of Nehru and his exhibition in a memorial, and hence, Nehru Pavilion was conceived. This innovative built heritage culminated the Nehruvian era, forging a new modern identity for Indian society and architecture, resonating the desires of a newborn democracy seeking its idiom within the modern world order. It was recognized and commemorated internationally. The complex occupied only 7% of the site demolished for redevelopment. Following the news of demolition, activism emerged in the form of exhibitions and other mediums. In fact, global support was garnered from several institutions like MoMA, ICOMmerce, and many others. But nothing could save these sites from this terrible fate. Ultimately, it becomes a question of who wants whom to remember and why. Built sites are usually replaced with a desire to recreate memories and history, but these decisions impact communities. Like human life, the Hall of Nations complex and Nehru Pavilion came to a full circle of life as institutions like MoMA, Centre Pompidou Paris, and Empress in Hong Kong gave them some poetic justice by planning to house their memories on their upcoming permanent exhibition programs. While international institutions are starting to recognize the worth of this heritage from recent past, these memories have not been acknowledged by their own home country. How would then the future generations of India witness this important chapter of their own cultural history and identity, the story of their own country's independence, if nothing exists to remind them? As we part, I'd like to leave with some thoughts. My identity is not just a reflection of me. It has originated from a we personifying a community whose totems of turmoil to bestow us liberty are embodied in the sites of shared history. For memories to exist in perpetuity towards posterity, preserving is the only key. Thank you.